everybody, it's me, Mrs. Kasha Davis, queen of the cul-de-sac, and a recovering alcoholic.
And it's me, Brock McGillis, former professional hockey player who struggled coming out.
And this is Each week, we're going to have a special guest, and they're going to be able to share with us the that they've gone through or that they're going through.
And they can give us techniques and how they empowered themselves through it.
And if we can share these experiences with one another, we're going to have a nice, good, hearty.
On today's episode, we're going to discuss new beginnings.
In a new beginning, obviously, there's growth. For me, I had to hit rock bottom. 3 DUIs before I can get myself and my act together and work on sobriety.
I hit rock bottom when I struggled with my sexuality to the point that I hit it and it deteriorated my hockey career, it basically ruined it. And it wasn't until I came out publicly that new beginning led to so many incredible experiences.
It's amazing how through the bad, so much good can begin to blossom. So I am very excited to have our first guest here on This Is the fabulous Tempest Dujour.
Hi! Hi, everybody. Hi, Kasha and Brock. I love you guys. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to our bathrooms, and welcome to This Is at Home.
Well, if you're gonna
Bring the Febreze.
It's always so good to see you.
It's always good to see, and you look particularly gorgeous today, I might add.
Well, you know, I used that season 1 Vaseline filter right here on the lens since I'm in the bathroom on the can.
The piece of wax paper over the lens? Yeah.
Exactly.
I get it.
Welcome to This Is and we are truly, really glad that you're here. And you know, the whole idea of This is getting people together to talk about experiences that they've gone through that might be able to help other people. What's been something that you have gone through that you can share with our viewers?
Well, my life has been sort of a melodrama of piles of that I've dug myself out of. But 2019 was disastrous for me, for many reasons. There was a divorce, there was lots of betrayal of friends of mine, there was just all kinds of sort of domino effect of bad going on.
My gosh. And I know, you know, you're a loving parent and you guys were together for a long time. How many
12
years? 12 years.
Yeah.
So regardless of what you want on either side of a divorce, it's difficult, whether you want it or you don't want it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I was certainly at a place, and so was he, where we had grown and evolved into such different people that it was the logical thing to do. We're both much happier. I won't speak for him, I'll speak for myself. I am much, much happier now. I was pretty miserable for a lot of years because I knew that that we were just not on the same path at all whatsoever. And to the credit of both of us, I guess, you know, when we met, we were very, very, very different people. I'll speak for myself again. You know, I had very little self-esteem. I was 160 pounds heavier. I was, you know, not really doing drag so much, and I was just a very, very different person. And people grow and they evolve and they change.
You feel better from it?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's difficult. Part of, you know, being sort of I call myself like a D-list gay small town celebrity, if you want to even call it that. But I have this persona based on Drag Race of being this sort of like, you know, the all-American. He's got his husband, his kids, his happy family, his white picket life. And I felt a lot of pressure to sort of maintain that image and maintain that persona of like, everything can be great and happy for everybody. So besides all the personal sort of emotional devastation I was going through, that made me very sad. And I had a lot of guilt for it, for whatever reason, because I felt like I was letting people down.
I think a lot of people can relate to the idea where you have an expectation, whether it's coming out or, you know, for me, I was hiding alcohol. I didn't want anybody to know exactly what was happening. And I think we have this kind of standard in our world where we have to live up to certain expectations, and those expectations could somehow just kill us.
You know, I sort of grew up in this happy Mormon household where everything was great and wonderful and happy, and we hid all the bad things. And it's damaging to do that in so many ways, in so many layers as you grow old.
I think when you share your story, or when I share my story, I feel less alone because you do get a response. And, you know, I know in speaking with you, Brock, and also with you, Tempest, that we live in a world now where there's so much opportunity to share our stories that it is so important, I believe, to be honest and to tell your truth. And when you do, you find that there are others really going through similar situations.
I found that the first time I shared was arguably the most empowering thing. And then from there, it became easier and easier to share and decide what to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I like to blame it on the fact that I'm a Virgo, but I like to be in control. I'm a methodical person. I don't like when things change or are different. I don't like feeling unstable, not knowing my schedule, all those things. And when life throws these giant curveballs at you, you have to be able to adjust.
Well, you know, I'm dying to know though, Tempest. You know, obviously you've gone through the divorce and you moved and you're picking up the pieces and really getting back into life. What has dating been like?
Oh my God. So much has changed. You're in the sludge again, and it's hard to feel like you're worthy of anything after that. Dating or whatever. I had to pull myself up by my bra straps again, and my garter belts, and say, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of being acknowledged, and then I had to learn about the apps. You know, because that's how people date now.
Now, anybody that goes through divorce knows that, especially if there are children, at first it's often said that you fear that the children are going to suffer, and what about, you know, the parents, and we stay for the kids. You know, how has this change, you know, helped your kids?
Well, first of all, going back to dating, I originally thought my screen name for all these apps, dating apps that I want to try out, is going to be Gay Poison, because I'm a middle-aged drag queen with children. I mean, what is more toxic in the gay community than that? That's three strikes, you're out.
Drag queens are in now. Drag queens are in.
Well, yeah, but there's certain expectations. Like, not even 48 hours ago, I had a message on an app that said, have you ever f***ed a guy in drag? I mean, that's the kind of messages I get. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. You know?
Right.
But anyway, back to the kids. You know, I think what was most important to me is I grew up in a household where my parents had a very long marriage, over 40 years before my dad passed. But they weren't physical and they weren't lovey-dovey. And I realized that's what my kids were seeing as they're growing up. They weren't seeing that outward expression of love and affection, and they were listening to fights and those sorts of things. And I think they deserve to have healthy examples of love and healthy examples of what it's like to have close friends and be loving and, you know, embracing those sort of things. So that's, you know, putting them in a healthier situation as well.
Well, we both met our partners online.
Well, evidently that's how you do it now, right?
Yeah. Steve and I met on gay.com when it was dial-up, and I had to like type in and then we had to wait.
Yeah.
Finally wake up.
AOL chat rooms.
Exactly. Oh my God. Remember those?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
Brock doesn't. He's too young.
No.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're lucky for it.
Tapping your foot at the Sears restroom. No.
JCPenney for me.
Okay, there you go. That's why we never met before Drag Race.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it's funny that I'm having that memory as I'm sitting on the can right now. I'm just waiting for somebody to like put their hand under the door. So honestly, what was the moment though? it sounds a little cheesy, and it's sort of one of those catchphrases, but that like aha moment where you just felt like things began to turn around and things started to click for you, where you can be like, I can see clearly now, the rain has gone.
There wasn't, I don't think there's been an aha moment, but there has this situation with the coronavirus has been a really cool time for me, because it's made me realize something that people have been telling me for years, and that is that I'm way overextended. I have a lot going on, too much going on. And so the aha for me has been during this shutdown that, God, you're trying to do too much. And what are you hiding from? What is this all about?
Do you think that was a numbing mechanism?
Like overextending yourself?
Sure, because I've never, never been a drinker, really. I've never done any drugs. I never did that stuff, thanks to my Mormon boy upbringing, probably. Instead, I think I overextended myself and kept myself so busy that I didn't have to think about the pain or think about bad things.
I've been talking to different people, and the whole experience that we're going through is sort of this awakening for us in some ways, where we're forced to take a look at things differently and take a look at our lives, because we're stuck, right? We're all forced to stop. And I think it goes back to what you said earlier, if I may. I know I can relate to what you said in the idea that, oh, well, if I overextend myself, if I'm really busy, I won't have to face, do I love myself enough to just, take care of myself so that I can love myself enough to love somebody else.
Tempest, what tools could others use? What have you learned? What could others use from your experiences?
Certainly professional help, I think, is legit, and there's certainly no shame in it. A counselor or whoever professionally can help you. I always like to say, surround yourself with the people you trust, but part of what I went through was the people I trusted the most really betrayed me. And so then what do? You know what I mean? Then you've got to dig deep. And for me, again, it was like literally looking myself in the mirror and going, okay, you deserve happiness. You deserve better than this treatment. You deserve all the things you've worked so hard to achieve. So it's self-reliance, because you can't always rely on everybody else. For me, it's finding inspiration, and I get on my bike and I go out in nature, or I go to a museum, or I do those old people things. but that's where I find my inspiration, and through my animals, my birds, and that stuff too.
I was waiting for you to go there, Tempest, because really looking in the mirror and starting fresh with saying, you deserve it, and I love myself, I love you, and going into nature or exercise or other things that you can do. And yes, you can trust again and build that community of people to share, but you can find that love, oftentimes so many of us do, from an animal.
How many animals do you have?
Well, you're gonna call me a hoarder now. You're gonna call the TV show and report me. But I currently have 4 dogs. I have a Great Dane, a Chihuahua, and 2 French Bulldogs. I have 2 big macaw parrots. I have a Vasa parrot. I have 2 toucans. I have about 15 to 20 parakeets in an aviary. They breed like rabbits, so it's hard to know exactly the number. And then I have about 15 chickens and a duck. And I have Frank the emu, my baby emu now.
But I think that really goes to show how much love you have inside of you to care for animals, to be positive, and to be able to pull up the bootstraps, look in the mirror, and say, you know what? I have felt betrayed by some friends, but I can start over again.
And I'll say, not blowing smoke up at anyone's dress here at all, but Kasha has always been my go-to gal from Drag Race on, and because I trust you implicitly, and because I think you're remarkably smart, and your heart is remarkably beautiful, and you have been a much greater help to me than I think you realize, and so I thank you for that, and you're an inspiration to me always.
Well,
so thank you.
That is very kind, and I truly appreciate that. And I think with our experience, we all decided to band together, and some of us fall off and some of us, are come and go, but you and I have stayed close from the beginning of that experience. And we've had some funny stories because I was still drinking then. Woo, Tempest had to pull me up off the floor in Vegas. But anyway, I digest, which is good because I'm sitting on the toilet.
And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love you both so much.
Love you too. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Brock, what did you learn or get as a takeaway from this conversation?
I learned that, you can numb in different ways. It doesn't have to be a substance abuse, and it can be through work, and it can be through different avenues of not giving yourself that, downtime, that grace period.
And she realized at one point she deserved to be loved and to love herself. And it started on her own. She felt as though she was betrayed by some obviously family and friends, but to be able to start fresh again on her own and with nature and with her small circle and build upon it really is an amazing example of somebody finding that strength from within.
We can tell people over and over and over again what to do. But ultimately, you have to decide you want to discover it. Or if it's just, deciding you want to shift and you want that new beginning in your life.
I have a little takeaway for you. Basically, when you're done with your you flush it. Hashtag flush it. Why don't we do a little call to action, Brock?
I like that. I think we should get people to flush it. We can give them an idea, something that they can do to sort of, in this instance, maybe rekindle a relationship and reach out to somebody that they haven't spoken to in a while or make amends.
I found by reaching out and calling someone or writing to someone, either a text or an email, I find that sometimes those people might have been thinking about me too and want to, rekindle that friendship. So reach out and hashtag flush it.
And remember, when you're in your own thoughts, because we have all this free time, realize normal doesn't exist. We are all a bunch of weirdos.